What celebrity has skeletons in their closet that we have all just seemed to forget about? In 1992, Tupac was attacked by a mob of people threatening him because he had earlier said something negative about Marin City. It began to get violent, so he pulled a pistol. He was then punched, causing him to drop the pistol. Someone then picked it up and fired above the crowd to scare them away. The bullet hit a small kid riding his bike nearby, killing him. The gun was proven to belong to Tupac, but it was never proven if he was the one fire it. The director of the Jeepers Creepers franchise, Victor Slava, is a convicted child molester who filmed his assault of a child. R. Kelly married a 15-year-old girl, Alia, when he was 27. She was 14. The former king of Spain shot his brother when they were kids and killed him. Edit. He's no longer king. Apparently modern kings can retire. Well, that's how you become king, right? Rodney Atkins, country singer, sings the song "Still Watching You," tried to murder his wife by smothering her to death while his 10-year-old was watching and was cleared of domestic assault after he took anger management classes. His son, Eli, actually goes to my high school. He's a really cool dude, but he hates his dad and wants nothing to do with him. Matthew McConaughey got arrested for disturbing the peace once for getting really high and playing the bongos so loud at 4 AM that it woke up all his neighbors. Horrifying, I know. Ted Nugent is a pedophile who openly F-ked girls in elementary school while he was in his 20s and 30s. Legally adopted his underage girlfriend, spread STDs to them, and found it funny. He even wrote songs about it. From his 1981 album, well, I don't care if you're just 13. You look too good to be true. I just know that you're probably clean. There's one little thing I gotta do to you. Jailbait, you look so good to me. Jailbait, won't you set me free? Jailbait, you look fine. Fine. Fine, and I know I've got to have you in a matter of time. So tell your mama that I'm back in town. She likes us boys when it's time to get down. She's got this craving for the underage. I just might be mama's brand new rage. One of his old bandmates reported that he'd get obviously underage girls drunk after shows and would slide his hands down their pants to comment on girls who didn't have pubic hair yet. Courtney Love recounted giving him a blowjob when she was 12. And when asked about it, he said, "I don't remember. I remember when we used to care that winning a Ryder Sharp lifted a few things. Man, the world used to be tame." Chris Albrecht, who runs Stars, now has a super abusive history, yet for whatever reason gets a free pass. He beat and choked a woman in a parking lot in Vegas, and apparently his thing is choking women when angry because he settled cases of doing it at work. Owen LeBron works with him on their series Survivor's Remorse, which is an apt name, and somehow nobody's written about this. He was at HBO till he got fired for all the women choking shenanigans. John Hamm nearly killed someone as a fraternity hazing event. The pledge was beaten, dragged by a hammer, and had his clothes set on fire. Hamm was a ringleader. Arrested, not prosecuted. Used a claw on the hammer to drag a guy by his balls. That's a little worse than just saying dragged by a hammer. Edit. Salman Khan is still enjoying his career even after running his car over 3 pedestrians. Arnold Schwarzenegger was notorious for fondling just about any female who came in range. He was nicknamed the Octopus. When a female reporter complained and outed him in an article, he had his agency retaliate against her by refusing to let any of their stars interview with her. Problematic for an entertainment journalist. In 2007, Boy George invited a male escort over for a photography session. Then, without consent, handcuffed him to the wall, beat him with a chain, and threatened him with sex toys. Auden Colson managed to free himself and ran to a police station in his underwear for help. So false imprisonment, assault and battery. He was sent to prison, but now he's out. Boy George is still on TV. How? It always amused me that the BBC hired him for The Voice. They're okay with that kind of criminal history, but Clarkson punches a producer and they go into meltdown. I'm not saying they shouldn't have let Clarkson go, but it's some strange priorities the BBC has there. So many rapists and child molesters. Then I come to the part where the guy from Green Day mooned an audience, and I think probably more relevance to British posters. But Leslie Grantham, famous for playing philandering pub landlord East End gangster Dirty Den Watts on EastEnders, served 10 years of a life sentence for murdering a West German taxi driver during a bungled robbery whilst a soldier in 1966. CJD Mui. For those who aren't familiar, in the UK there is a TV quiz contest called Eggheads, in which a team of quizzers from the general public are pitched against the finest quiz brains in the ultimate team. Dimui was one of this team. In 2016 he wrote his autobiography in which he described punching a drug-addicted homeless guy into a canal in Amsterdam. Apparently this guy died and the Amsterdam police had been looking for the killer way back when it happened. As soon as he wrote it he was issued a European arrest warrant. But a Westminster court judge got him out of it as he hadn't been arrested in the UK. Edit. Added info. Don King curb stomped and murdered a guy that owed him money. He is free and rich. That's why he loves America so much. The directors known as the movie brats: Francis Ford the Godfather Coppola, Paul Taxi Driver Schrader, William Exorcist Friedkin, Martin Goodfellas Scorsese, Robert Mash Altman, etc. all beat women when they were young and cocaine-addled. These people went on to become powerful and critically beloved. So it was all brushed over. This is detailed in Easy Riders. Raging Bulls by Peter Biskind, which is a great book to read if you want to stop idolizing your favorite filmmakers. The only one who seems remotely pleasant is George Lucas. Tom Hanks once signed an email regards rather than best regards. Karl Malone impregnated a 13-year-old girl and refused to pay child support. A lot of people don't know truly how large of an asshole he is. Terrence Howard, of Iron Man 1 and Empire fame. I guess Hustle and Flow 2? Does anyone remember that film? Comma is clinically psychotic. He and his wife spend up to 17 hours a day twisting wire and cut pieces of plastic together in their living room in order to prove that 1x1=2 because reasons. John McAfee is suspected of ordering a hit on his neighbor in Belize. He also set in motion the crime against humanity that is McAfee antivirus, though he does claim no attachments to it. Floyd Mayweather. He has beaten so many ex-girlfriends it's disgusting. Andy Dick got Phil Hartman's wife to relapse, which got Phil killed. People have mentioned a few Elvis things, but no one said anything about how he would meet up with the heads of his fan club, who were primarily underage girls, for slumber parties where he allegedly molested them. Get outta here, Drake, it won't work. Marv Albert had a pretty sensational trial about biting a woman, and then it came out that he bit other women. It was pretty crazy shitty. Now he's back doing big time NBA games and I can't see or listen to the guy without remembering that shitty. The singer of Aerosmith took legal custody of a teenager so he can have sex with her and then told her to abort their child. When people found out, he told her to keep her big mouth shut. She said, "Look who's talking." Johnny Cash was responsible for starting a fire that destroyed a national condor reserve. 49/51 of the birds were killed. He was sued by the state and lost. Edit. This was 1965. California. Los Padres Forest. Someone said at this time there were only 110 Californian condors in existence. Edit 2. The fire was accidental, but due to negligence. To put it in perspective, before the fire there were 110 California condors anywhere in the world. Johnny Cash killed almost half of them while playing the father on Growing Pains. 40-year-old Alan Thicke was dating 17-year-old Christy Swanson. The people who make Beyoncé's clothing line are paid 44 cents an hour. Till. If you're a celebrity with fame and fortune, you're above most of the laws. Also, classic rock is nothing but drugs and rapists. The principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Jeffrey Jones, was busted for having child PRN and for soliciting teens for child PRN photo shoots. He is currently a registered sex offender. It was allegedly associated with Paul Rubens, but they did not find any child PRN in his PRN stash. Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer of Weezer, has a lot of rumors surrounding him and his love of underage girls. I'm surprised Bryan Singer isn't mentioned, considering he has a pedo party mansion and has been accused of misconduct. He's still pumping out material because I guess that's okay in Hollywood. Rivers Cuomo. Say it ain't so. Eric Clapton wrote Layla mainly about wanting to FCK George Harrison's wife. He later went on to write Wonderful Tonight about George Harrison's now ex-wife, who was now Clapton's wife. Also, at the same time, somewhere between 1970-72, that Eric Clapton was thinking about F-king George Harrison's wife. George Harrison was F-king Ringo Starr's wife. Yikes. Edit. Holy hot hell. This blew up and I didn't expect it to. I wrote this at like 5 AM and just thought of the first things that came to mind, which is usually the Beatles. In any given situation. Yeah. Adultery is pretty tame compared to the rest of the shit in this thread. Allow me to ruin your day some more. I had almost forgot to mention Clapton's racist rant about keeping Britain white at a concert in 1976. I believe someone linked it in one of the responses. And for those who included letting his 4-year-old son fall out of his window, which is what he wrote Tears in Heaven about. I thought about that but then did a bit of research. And I don't think Clapton was actually there when that happened. And his son was under the supervision of his wife's friends. Kelly. Married a 15-year-old. Made a SXP tape with a 14-year-old and has had numerous underage girls accuse him of rape. Dave Chappelle did not forget about this. Does Gandhi count? Sleeping naked with teenage girls. Marcos Alonso. The Chelsea left back. While driving drunk in Madrid overturned his car, which resulted in the death of a woman who was in the passenger seat. Breath test at the scene showed his alcohol levels to be almost twice that permitted under Spanish law. Dr. Roxo. The rock and roll clown of Zazblamimitar's fame allegedly wrote Dory McLean based on a true story about a real-life underage fan. Allison Mack from Smallville was recently caught and charged with human smuggling, forced slavery, and trafficking children. I don't know why everyone isn't talking about that. It's disgusting. Theresa May once ran through a field of wheat. I'm a huge fan of his music. But Dre once beat the living shit out of Yo. MTV Raps VJ D Barnes, who is female. You gonna take advice from somebody who slapped D Barnes? True story. And it inspired the name of his headphone brand. Chris Brown legit is a gigantic piece of shit. I lose a lot of respect for any artist that does a collab with him. Not sure how people still give him money knowing that he actually tried to murder Rihanna. Elizabeth Shue, LA with an eye from Karate Kid, used to have coked up sex with Rick James. And Christopher Reeve used to do coke with him too. Drake has a baby. Fred Rogers. Everybody knows him for the much loved educational preschool television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Well, one time he wore his outside shoes inside the house. Kobe Bryant arped a woman in Colorado. Then his team of lawyers and publicists destroyed her. Keanu Reeves hasn't always been awesome. The fact is, up until 1964 he wasn't even born yet. Caitlyn Jenner killed a woman. And then won Woman of the Year. Donald Trump arped and abused his first wife Ivana. Dave Matthews Band tour bus purposely dumped raw sewage into the Chicago River. Morrissey didn't start staying awful shitty as of last week. He's been disillusioning his hardcore fans for over 20 years. It's probably here already. But Roman Polanski, A lot of people know about his crime and lawful sex with a 13-year-old girl, and that he has been in France ever since 1977 to avoid imprisonment. But people seem to gloss over it. That's 41 years that it took the academy to expel him. WTF. Michael Jordan has extramarital children all over the country. He pays off the moms to keep it quiet. Met one of his kids in Knoxville. He lived in the same neighborhood as a girl I was dating. His mom hooked up with him while he was playing for the Birmingham minor league baseball team. Edit. She got something like $100 K or $200 K to sign off responsibilities of his child. Can't remember exactly what the number was. Coco Chanel shacked up with a Nazi to protect her business so she could stay rich. Any other woman in France who gave comfort to Nazis had their heads shaved in public as a symbol they put themselves ahead of their country. Didn't Ted Nugent get custody of his underage girlfriend? And they were together for like 20 years? Please correct on details. Surprised no one has mentioned John Lennon and his history of physical and emotional abuse. He physically abused his first wife Cynthia and Yoko and was emotionally abusive towards Julian. He resented the child because it forced him into a marriage. Not to mention, most of the things he told people was an outright lie to make himself a more relatable person. The same guy who wrote the lyrics to Imagine lived in a posh hotel in New York and was obsessed with every spiritual New Age fad at the time. Quite possibly the biggest hypocrite of all time. Imagine No Possessions sung by a man who owned a climate-controlled storage room for his fur coats. David Beckham demanded that UNICEF pay for his business class airline tickets to attend their event for children in the Philippines. Also had a rant on email about not receiving a knighthood. This thread is a good reminder of why you shouldn't idolize people. Cheryl Cole assaulted and racially abused a toilet attendant. Hugh Grant got busted trying to get a blowjob off a prostitute. He was in the middle of one. They only got busted because he kept putting his foot on the brake. Coppers driving past noticed his brake lights going on and off. And he was within her prime Elizabeth Hurley at the time. I remember when he was asked about it he said something along the lines of you can eat filet mignon every night but sometimes you just crave a cheeseburger. Even before 8 Woman came out accusing Morgan Freeman of sexual harassment abuse he was accused of having an affair with his teenage step-granddaughter. The affair lasted for years and began when she was just a teenager. They both denied all the claims. But in her mid-20s she came clean and told her friends and family that she had been sleeping with him. She also got murdered a couple years ago by her mental boyfriend. Phil Lewis from the Disney show The Suite Life of Zack and Cody killed a woman in a car accident while under the influence. I'm surprised that Disney hired him knowing his background. To be fair, he went to prison for manslaughter and got off early because of the work he did in the prison-based theater troupe. It's not like he killed her and got away with it like a lot of other people in this thread. Caitlyn Jenner F. Kim killed a guy and got away with it. Buckaloop Buckaroo. Tom Cruise as Scientology's poster boy. The current American president is married to a former prostitute. She's dead. So you can just say hooker. Related note. MLK had an affair, and the CIA blackmailed him with it. He came clean to his wife and did not change his activism. The FBI attempted blackmail. Mark Wahlberg was a violent racist who badly assaulted multiple people, including a Vietnamese guy who was left blind in one eye from the attack. Edit. It seems that the one guy was already blind from fighting in the Vietnam War. However, the overall point that Wahlberg was a violent racist who assaulted people still stands. John Travolta has been outed stalking and propositioning men in gyms he frequents. Heard stories of him standing in the shower staring down at people while he touches himself. Scientology made it go away? Scrolled through and so far I was unable to find the following. 1. Vince Neil from Motley Crue basically killed Razzle. 2. The guy who invented Norton antivirus murdered someone in Belize. 3. The actor who played Bubba in Forrest Gump murdered someone. Number 2 is John McAfee, who invented McAfee antivirus. Everybody knows about Woody Allen, yet his career's still going. Woody Allen adopted and groomed a child from Asia and then ended up marrying her. Edit. Apparently my facts were skewed. My bad. Apparently he married his ex's daughter. He never adopted her. She is Mia Farrow's and Andrew Provin's adopted daughter. David Bowie f-ked 14-year-old girls and had an ironic Nazi phase. Jimmy Page f-ked a lot of the same 14-year-old girls, the two passed them around. Only he would actually kidnap them and hold them so no one would find out. This won't be popular. But here goes. To be fair, the entire Nick punk scene had an ironic Nazi phase in the 70s. The Ramones loft had a ton of Dayglow swastikas. Steve Bators, another band member, wore a swastika armband and pendant, which almost cost him his life when he got stabbed and a Jewish ER doctor refused to operate on him. Pretty sure it was a short-lived local art scene fad. Edit. Donald Trump ate pizza crust first. Edit. 8. Also, you gotta stop letting him live rent-free in your head. Caitlyn Jenner killed someone. Nice try. Drake. Stephen Fry served prison time for credit card fraud. Edit. The topic was that we have forgotten about, not that they try to hide. And I concur, it was a minor crime by a troubled bipolar young man. For you 80s kids. Pee Wee Herman and the Adult Theater Masturbation Incident. Pee Wee Herman and the Adult Theater Masturbation Incident. Worst children's book title ever. That's a bum rap. Seriously. The dude went to a place dedicated to that kind of thing. Put his money down to do it. And he got jammed up on a bullshit law that shouldn't even exist. Out of all of these, it deserves at a minimum to be forgotten. And really, I think he's actually owed an apology by some people. Elon Musk didn't buy a copy of WinRAR. Pepperidge Farm remembers. O.J. Simpson is indeed O.J. Simpson. F King Chris Brown. Every time my BF plays Freaky Friday, all I think is Whiffabita Whiffabita Whiffabita. Robert De Niro and Glenn Howerton, Dennis Meyership, are anti-vax. Dennis is an anti-Vader? This is upsetting. Eric Clapton openly announced he was racist. I thought they were chanting white powder. White powder. Sorry. Casey Affleck was sued by multiple women for sexual harassment and allegedly crawled in bed with one and touched her in her sleep, then grabbed another one by the arm to try and make her spend the night with him. Roseanne Barr was the single most vile, vulgar, cringe-worthy celeb of the late 80s early 90s. She pissed on the national anthem, made random racist jokes, and was generally an all-around piece of crap of a human being. It amazes me they gave her a new show. Now that we don't tolerate that sort of BS in the modern world. Wait. Why are you all looking at me like that? The guy from Celebrity Apprentice brutally outpaid his first wife. Gee, I wonder whatever happened to that guy. Laura Bush, wife of George W. Bush, banned a stop sign with her car when she was a 17-year-old high school student and struck a car driven by a high school star athlete, killing him. She was known for her recklessness behind the wheel. Actor Matthew Broderick was driving in Northern Ireland and crossed the center line, striking a car driven by a 30-year-old woman and occupied by her mother, who was a passenger, killing both of them. He got off with a little more than slap on the hand. Stone Cold Steve Austin allegedly beat his wife. It's not alleged. He pleaded no contest and got a year's probation. It's the second incident of domestic violence against a different woman that's alleged. Edit. Till that pleading no contest isn't the same thing as an admission of guilt. Mark Wahlberg once beat a Vietnamese man nearly to death in a hate crime. That's apparently the reason their burger place can't open in California. David Bowie had sex with multiple underage girls. Till rockstars were generally pedophiles. Edit. So apparently not pedophiles, but ephebophiles or hebphiles. Edit 2. I gather that these terms may be splitting hairs. So how about sex offenders? Reddit will never forget Woody Harrelson's AMA, I hope. If I've learned anything from this thread, it's Hollywood is full of rapists and sex offenders. John Hamm, Don Draper of Mad Men, was apparently suspended from the University of Texas. He held another student's testicles with a claw hammer and dragged them around the room, while other students beat and burnt the poor fellow. Can't imagine going through that. And then seeing your bully, mildly stated, become a famous and successful actor. Caitlyn Jenner was involved in a, edit, fatal car accident before the gender reassignment procedure. The other driver was an elderly woman and Jenner caused the accident because he was using his cell phone and slightly under the influence. But never mind. He's brave. Went to be Woman of the Year too despite the other contestants, which were truly inspiring. Next level stuff compared to him. Drake being a deadbeat dad of a kid born to a P-Run star who he tag teamed with another rapper. You are hiding a child. Let that boy come home. Deadbeat moth of CKA playing Border Patrol. 2. Adonis is your son. And he deserves more than an Adidas press run. That's real. Love that baby. Respect that girl. Forget she's a P-Run star. Let her be your world. You. Considering that A, the track came out yesterday, or technically 2 days ago at this point, and B, Pusha T has been relentless on it since then. It doesn't really qualify for the whole point of this thread. But let the world know anyway. That and the whole blackface fiasco, which was icing on the cake. Rumor is that Drake has a $100 K bounty for any dirt on Pusha T. Which just shows he's desperate. And the clock is ticking fast. He hit that duppy freestyle way too quick and wasn't prepared for Push to pull out those skeletons. David Furnish, Elton John's husband, had a gay sex threesome in a pool of olive oil. Of course no one in the UK is meant to know because there is an injunction on reporting it issued by Elton John. What's the problem? If everything's consensual? That sounds both fun and difficult. Matthew Broderick car accident that killed 2 people in the late 80s. Not a skeleton in the closet, but Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin. Oh. Also, Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick, but they made a whole movie about it, so maybe not so forgotten. In 1994 Kelly at 27 years old married Dahlia, who was only 15 years old at the time. In 2002 a videotape was released of Kelly engaging in sexual misconduct with a 14-year-old girl as well as pissing in the little girl's mouth. Dude has a long history of engaging in sexual misconduct with underage girls. It seems that everyone forgets and he still sells out shows. SMH disgusting.